Hello, my name is Grenville Phillips and I am the founder of Solutions Barbados, a political party that we started 3 years ago. We are a group of 28 innovators who treasure our reputations but care too much to see Barbados fail. Now that we are on the brink of economic ruin, there is no need for anyone to pretend that our situation is anything but dire. You, the people of Barbados, deserve to know the truth about our national economy and why things are so bad. Many financial professionals and business persons are now openly stating that the government of Barbados lacks the discipline to properly manage our economy. They are also openly recommending that we need to be under the financial discipline of the International Monetary Fund, also called the IMF. So just how bad is the national economy? The International Monetary Fund warned us to never let our debts exceed 40% of what we produce in 1 year, which is called the Gross Domestic Product, or GDP. The last administration borrowed excessively and took our debts to over 90% of GDP. The current administration has taken us to over 150% of GDP, to over $14 billion in debt. We are now on the brink of economic ruin and our children are not prepared to pay these debts. We have been brought to where Jamaica and Guyana were just before their currencies were devalued, out of all good options. The rating agencies do not think that we can repay what we have borrowed, so they have already warned all international banks and investors that lending to Barbados is extremely risky. That is what all those downgrades were about. So what is so harmful about going to the IMF? We need to be reminded that the IMF has one main role: to protect the country's foreign currency reserves from the country's residents. They are well aware that if you have access to foreign currency, you will spend it. They are there to ensure that the foreign currency is used primarily to repay those from whom we borrowed and now cannot afford to repay. The IMF has two main methods that they use to prevent us from using foreign currency on our needs or wants. The first is to devalue our currency, to make the foreign currency purchases very expensive for us. The second is to increase income tax and sales tax rates so that our families will have very little money to purchase foreign currency after paying for normal monthly expenses. So we will be on a cycle of increased taxes and devaluation until the taxes cannot be increased any further without riots. And then they will keep devaluing the local currency until the residents simply cannot afford to purchase the foreign currency. Our Guyanese neighbors now need 200 of their dollars to purchase $1 US. Our Jamaican neighbors need about 120 of theirs to purchase $1 US. With a devalued currency, every person in Barbados who pays a home mortgage will likely lose their house within 3 years unless they are earning foreign currency. This is because our banks are foreign owned and the bank shareholders will want to maintain their profits, so the home mortgage interest rates will rise to compensate for the devaluation losses. Since most homeowners borrow to their borrowing limit, they are unlikely to be able to afford a significant increase in their mortgage interest rates. It is useful to be reminded of Guyana's experience with the IMF. Within 1 year of the Guyanese people being surrendered to the IMF, Guyana had fallen from being one of the richest Caribbean countries to one of the poorest. Guyana experienced a 70% devaluation of their dollar, doubling of income tax rates, a lack of supplies and maintenance parts, and 75% of the population in poverty, all within the first year. So after bringing us to the edge of the cliff of economic ruin, we are being forced to jump off. They promise us that if they are elected, then we will be forced to take their bitter medicine and their harsh austerity. They blame us for living above our means when it is them who have borrowed above our ability to pay. Why do we have to pay for their gross mismanagement? People of Barbados, we do not. About 3 years ago, we published our economic and social plans for the public to examine, criticize, and improve on solutionsbarbados.com. It was our manifesto. Our 4-point economic recovery plan comprises lowering taxes, improving the management of government services, depoliticizing the civil service, and eliminating corruption. It should be clearly stated that our plan is not some theoretical, untried plan, but it is proven. It is proven that a country takes in more revenues when it reduces its tax rates, that better managed public services result in less wastage and a higher level of customer satisfaction, that a politicized civil service can ruin a country, and that corruption results in severe austerity for most citizens. To give you, the public, sufficient confidence in our plans, all of our policies were costed and given to independent economists and accountants who were told to have no mercy on them whatsoever in their critical review. We have received a report from a fellow of the Institute of Chartered Accountants of Barbados, who noted that our assumptions were ultra-conservative and that we can turn the economy around within 1 year. We can also run a surplus in our first year without laying off a single public worker or reducing their salary. We can do this while eliminating VAT and without requiring any external funding. He recommended that the other parties who were promoting austerity need to seriously look at our plan. To put this in context, Barbados has only run a surplus once since our independence. No political party should be forcing us to accept an unnecessary austerity when we still have a workable non-austerity plan on the table. It is unconscionable. A summary of some of our plans that were published approximately 3 years ago on solutionsbarbados.com follow. For secondary education, all students should leave school with at least one marketable skill that they can use to generate income. Therefore, the school curriculum will be rearranged so that the easier to learn practical aspects of subjects are taught before the more complex information. Therefore, they will first learn conversational language before they learn to conjugate verbs. They will learn to play music by ear before they learn music theory. They will learn to start and grow a profitable business before they learn the theoretical principles of business. For tertiary education, none of our diligent students should be denied a university education due to a lack of funds. Therefore, the University of West Indies tuition will be paid in full for those who meet a qualifying standard of 7 CXC and 3 CAPE passes. For welfare should be available to all, not just to those who complain the loudest. There are many of our elderly and unemployed in churches who do not complain at all, but simply say, "The Lord will provide." Therefore, all households will receive a small amount of water and electricity each month at no cost. The cost of the amounts above this minimum will be increased to pay for this subsistence amount. In this way, we will all be helping each other. On criminal justice, offenders should pay for the cost of the criminal justice system. Therefore, all offences will attract a fine of 10 times the value of the offence. Those who cannot afford to pay their fines can work at restoring our dilapidated buildings, like the Empire Theatre, while they also learn a skill. Prison will be reserved for violent offenders. On health, healthy food should be affordable. Therefore, all taxes will be removed from healthy foods, and a health tax will be applied to all high-fat, high salt, high sugar, and high alcohol products. For example, the cost of diabetes to the country will be equitably spread among all high sugar products sold in Barbados. Those who choose the higher price on healthy food will simply be prepaying for their future healthcare costs. Regarding government services, complaints should be permanently addressed. Wastage should be minimized, innovation among employees should be developed, and productivity should be higher. Therefore, all public services will be developed and delivered to the International Customer-Focused Quality Management Standard, ISO 9001. The public will enjoy the efficiency in which high-quality public services are delivered in the Solutions Barbados administration. Regarding the National Bank, a National Development Bank will be established primarily to assist small businesses with microloans of up to $5,000 in the first instance. Transactions can be performed at the various post offices across Barbados, over the internet, and at ATMs. Regarding corruption, both the payers and receivers of bribes will confidentially pay a fine of the full value of the bribe during a 3-month amnesty. Thereafter, whistleblower legislation will be enacted where the whistleblower will be rewarded with the full value of the bribe. However, the offender's fine will be increased to 10 times the value of the bribe. On opposition cooperation, the opposition should work with the government in proposing solutions, but they are concerned about snap elections. Therefore, elections can only be called 1 year in advance. On government contracts, all government contracts where the total value is over $25,000 shall be publicly tendered through a fair tender process. And regarding taxes, personal and business taxes should be affordable, fair, easy to pay, and easy to audit. Therefore, all individuals and businesses will be taxed at 10% of total income with no deductions. All old debts will be forgiven and VAT will be abolished. Now, you've heard many promises by other political parties over the past 52 years of our independence. Why should you believe us? That is a very good question. It seems that I am the first chartered structural engineer to have ever run in elective politics on this planet. I design bridges and buildings, and the slightest error can cause the building to collapse. Our code of ethics is so extreme that lying to the public means the end of my professional career. You may be aware that the Barbados Light and Power forbade all political parties from placing any of our posters on their poles. You will see posters from the BLP, DLP and UPP on their poles, but you will never see a poster of a single Solutions Barbados candidate on a Light and Power pole. Why? Because I am constrained by my professional code of ethics not to violate Light and Power's property rights. Perhaps I'm just too ethical for this business, but that is up to you. My suggestion is to note the name of every candidate on a poll, and that is who you should definitely not vote for on election day. Do our candidates have the capacity to implement our policies? Yes, they do. We have 28 candidates contesting this election, and they are all innovators. I am the 2014 winner of the National Innovation Competition, and all selected Solutions Barbados candidates are innovators in their fields. You will know our candidates on the ballot on election day because they are all innovators. Now, I love the Lord with all my heart. I acknowledge the Lord in all of my ways so that He may direct my steps. Our founders wish this for us as a nation. Our Constitution starts in this manner. Now, therefore, the people of Barbados proclaim that they are a sovereign nation, founded upon principles that acknowledge the supremacy of God. May we all acknowledge the supremacy of God and serve Him with our whole heart. May God bless you with wisdom as you make this most important decision for yourselves and your children. On election day, vote for Solutions Barbados candidates. Vote for the innovators. Thank you.